adding sashing to 2 blocks that have been quilted in the hoop. Each of my blocks has been trimmed to 1/4 of an inch past the seam line. I've cut my sashing strips and the back is 1/4 of an inch wider than the front. We need that extra 1/4 of an inch to make the fabric lip that is the same as the fabric lip we created for unsashed blocks in part 2 of this video series. The first thing I'll be doing is adding a thin bead of glue along the edge that I'm joining the sashing to. And I'm going to start on the front, and I've got my stainless steel flow restrictor on my glue bottle. And there's my thin bead. The next thing I will do is I will take the sashing front and I will place it right along the edge of my block. And then use my iron to heat set the glue. Once that's done, I'll turn my block over and repeat the process with the sash backing. I'll repeat the alignment. I'll straighten the sashing and I will press to set the glue. Now I'm ready to take my block to the machine and, using the normal functions of my sewing machine, stitch a 1/4 of an inch seam along the edge to permanently join the sashing front and back to the quilt block. I've got my jig that I created using the process shown in the first video of this series, and I'm going to slide it into position until the fabric hits the tape at 3/8 of an inch. I'm going to take my easy fold pin and I'm going to pump it to make sure that I've got fluid coming to it. Then I'm going to draw a straight line right along the ruler's edge. And as you remember from the first and second videos in this series, the pin allows the fabric to fold right on the line that we drew. So I know that this line is exactly 3/8 of an inch. Next, I'll heat press the fabric lip to make sure that the crease is sharp for when I get ready to close the backings of the join for the 2 blocks. With that done, I'll turn the block over and I'll press the seam from the front to set it. Then I will open it up and press again. And now I'm ready to join the second block to the sashing. We join the second block using the same procedure that we used to join the first block. I'll run a bead of glue along the edge of the second block to be joined. And I'll turn it over and I'll align it with the edges of the first block. I'll press to dry the glue. Then I will return to my sewing machine and I will stitch to join the second block to the sashing. The second block is stitched and permanently joined to the sash front. I'll press to set the seam, then I'll open and press the sashing from the front. Next, I'll measure the space in between the 2 seam allowances, and then I'll cut my batting to match that width. And once my batting's cut, I'll just nestle it right in between the 2 seam allowances. Once the batting's in place, I'll cover it with a strip of heat press batting together, which I'll center over the batting and the seams, and press until the adhesive on the heat press batting together is released and it adheres to the batting. When using heat press batting together, you want your iron to be hot enough to melt the adhesive, but not so hot that it melts or burns the tape. With the heat press batting together in place, I'll be ready to fold my backing over and press it. Then I'll add a bead of glue right along the edge of the fabric lip. Then I'll flip the sashing back over and I'll press it to set the glue. Now I'm ready to go to my machine and I will stitch in the ditch from the front and catch the tape along the back, creating a 1/8 of an inch lip. This is the same process that we used in the second video in this series, joining unsashed blocks. I went to my machine and I loaded Invisifil thread made by Wonderfil into my machine. And I'm hoping that you can see how thin this thread really is. It's 100 weight cottonized polyester thread. And when you stitch in the ditch from the front, it falls beautifully inside the seam line so that it's not visible from the front. And when you turn your blocks over, you can see that we caught our fabric lip right at 1/8 of an inch. If you would like additional information on stitching in the ditch and calibrating your stitch in the ditch foot, you'll find it in video 2 of this series. Give it a try. I think you'll agree that this is the cleanest quilt as you go join on the planet.